Hello and welcome to episode 201 of the All Systems Go Sports Betting Podcast, powered by Rhythm. I'm your host, Josh Appelbaum. What's going on, everyone? Happy Monday. A new week begins, and we got a lot to catch up on to talk about the weekend and, of course, turn the page for a great sports betting night here for tonight with a lot of big games on tap, including the biggest of them all, Ohio State, Notre Dame, national championship game. I got a play for you. I got a side. So I'll give you my breakdown here and what I will be sweating in the championship game, as well as a lean when it comes to the total. But then also, I'm going to have a play for you in college hoops. We have a buy low over opportunity. A total fell quite a bit, and we got a good rhythm and Ken Pom edge to play the over. And then also a play in the NHL with a ton of system matches here in their favor. So a 3-pack overall. Let's see if we can find our way to scratch and claw and get at least 2 out of 3 and eke out a winning night. Now, looking back toward the weekend, guys, hope everyone had a great weekend. Want to thank everyone for tuning in to the special Saturday Sweats. Normally it was Sunday Sweats all season long, but we had Saturday Sweats, which was a lot of fun on Saturday. Myself and James Santor breaking down games, talking about all the big playoff games over the weekend. But what I liked is that there were some dogs barking over the weekend, guys. Ended up playing the Commanders plus 9.5. That closed 8.5, so some good closing line value. And wouldn't you know it, not only do the Commanders cover the number, but they win the game. So that was pretty fantastic to see, covering that with Jaden Daniels. The Rams plus 6.5, plus 7, backdoor cover. That was a beautiful one to see. There was a missed kick at one point. Saquon rips one off, but luckily they were able to score late and cash that ticket. And then also the Texans. Thank you to the Lord. There was a late safety that saved us there. I was gonna cry into my drink because Kyrie Fairbairn, the kicker, who was, by the way, I believe he's from Hawaii, so probably didn't like the snow in the cold weather in that game. But Texans, they're down 11, got the 9.5, saw that thing go from an 11-point win to a 9-point win. And then you go to Twitter and everyone says, oh, the NFL's rigged. But I would just say, in terms of that Texans play, favorites early, dogs late. Getting the best of the number. It is so critical, so important. Because if you remember, you had the Kansas City Chiefs open that game minus 8.5. They closed minus 9.5. So again, if you had bet the favorite early with KC, you cover. You know, that last second safety didn't hurt you. But if you were again savvy and waited it out, and I think that's so important in sports betting. We all want to put in our bets and get ready and sweat them, but you got to be patient. You got to look out for the best price. And I'm glad that when I put it in the app, and I want to thank everyone for following all the plays in the Juice Reel app for All Systems Go Pod. You can always see the best bets there, but we're able to cash with Texans plus 9.5. The disappointing ones were the Ravens. I took the Ravens on the money line. I like that dog to fave line move. I like the fact that they ended up closing pretty much 1.5. Good bet splits, line move. Rhythm told me it was a 2-point edge there for Baltimore. Unfortunately, Mr. Andrews there, Mr. Butterfingers, fumbled the ball, dropped the 2-point conversion. You know, let's give a golf clap to the Bills fans. They deserve that win. But I was rooting for Baltimore there. And then John Mahal Hill in the UFC. I did not open up the wallet and pay for the pay-per-view, but I did see that, unfortunately, our play in the UFC ended up losing with that sharp line move. But either way, guys, Commanders, Rams, Texans, not a bad weekend for dogs in the postseason. So, turning the page for today, guys, let's get after it. I want to start off with, obviously, the big one here. We got the national championship game. And by the way, once we do our 3 breakdowns for today, I do want to talk a little bit about early thoughts on the AFC and NFC championship games, because lines are out, lines are moving. We got system matches, we got interesting bet splits, so stay tuned for some early thoughts for Eagles and Commanders, as well as Buffalo and Kansas City. Now, the national championship game tonight, the Natty, the big one. Let's set the stage. Let's talk about how this line has evolved. Let's try to locate where the smart money's at, and then I'm going to give you my play for the game. So, national championship game, last college football game of the year until we have the long wait until college football returns next summer, late summer, early fall. But anyway, this game will be played at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia, home of the Falcons. Now, Ohio State comes in 13-2. Remember, they're the 8 seed, just took down Texas 28-14 in the semis. They covered as a 6.5-point neutral site favorite. Still have PTSD from Mr. Brilliant Sarkisian pitching the ball backwards instead of running it up the middle and scoring with Arch Manning. You can tell. I never forget about my losses. You forget about your wins unless they're huge wins. You never forget about your losses. But anyway, Notre Dame 14-1, 7 seed, just edged Penn State. Luckily, they did cover for me in that one. 27-24 in the semis. They won outright as a 1.5-point neutral site dog. So, what have we seen across the market here? Well, this game opened Ohio State listed as a 9.5-point neutral site favorite. Now, the first thing I noticed about this game, which kind of got me a little disappointed, is that the public split down the middle. So as a contrarian bettor, I would love to see one team getting 80%, the other team getting 20%. That would automatically, get my juices flowing as a bet against the public data-driven bettor, because I want to bet against the drunk guys at the bar. Now, you pull the drunk guys at the bar, they don't know where to go here. It's basically 50-50 down the middle. So if you look at DraftKings, 52% of spread bets are laying the points with Ohio State. You look at Circa, sharp book out in Vegas, 55% of spread bets are taking the points with Notre Dame. So all intents and purposes, we have no contrarian value. We got a public that is undecided. But what's one thing that we like to look toward when it's a 50-50 bet split is look for a line move. If you can't add any contrarian value because the tickets are too, right down the middle, then what is the line doing? Well, the line has moved toward the Irish. Remember, Ohio State opened as a 9.5-point favorite. The line is down to 8.5. Now, most shops are 8.5. I do see one book right now at 9, which would be ESPN Bet. Between now and kickoff, this is a 7:30 game, so we'll see how this thing develops. I think it is important to see, hey, do we creep back down to 8? Does it rise back up to 9? You are starting to see maybe a little bit of Ohio State money come in here, because I do see one book at 9. A couple books are juiced up. But what I do like in this spot would be the 50-50 line move. Even if this thing gets up to 9, remember it opened 9.5. So from the open to current, this line has never gotten to 10, and in fact, it's moved down toward Notre Dame. So 50-50, theoretically, a line shouldn't move at all. Bets are split. The odds makers have balanced action. No need to adjust the price. Yet, you're seeing this line, at least open to current, move toward Notre Dame. If you continue to look at this spot for Notre Dame, I'm going to take the points. I'm going Irish plus 8.5. I bet this thing earlier today. Again, you can shop around and maybe find a 9 here. But there's a couple things I like in Notre Dame's favor. Number one is the 50-50 line move. 9.5 down to 8.5 or 9 at this point. The other angle here would be a correlative betting value play. You are getting a Notre Dame squad getting 8.5 points in a relatively low total game, 45.5, 45 even. We'll get to the total here in a second because I do lean under a bit. But when you think about it, unless Ohio State rolls and pretty much pitches a shutout, if the combined total points are going to be low 40s, it's going to be a little bit difficult to cover that big number, that 8.5. Like if Ohio State was minus 2.5, then it wouldn't be much of an issue. But with points at a premium, and we'll get to these great defenses here in a second, which is part of the lean for me toward the under. I think when you're looking at a dog, if you're playing a dog, again, big points, low total, always a good thing because the fewer amount of expected points scored makes it harder for the favorite to cover. But also you got to think about, if you're playing a dog in a spread sport, what's the path to covering? To me, it's either you're good on both sides of the ball and you just play well and you cover the number, or you got a really good offense. You can put up points, keep pace, backdoor cover, or you have a really good defense. You keep the other team down a bit, which makes it harder for them to cover the number. So we got correlative betting value with Notre Dame. We also have Notre Dame, nothing huge here, but a one-day rest advantage. They last played on January 9th. Ohio State played on January 10th. So both teams are rested, but one extra day for Notre Dame. And here's the big system match that I'm going to put some stock into. When you get to the national championship game, obviously the Super Bowl of college football, line moves toward dogs have been very profitable. Now, it's a relatively small sample, but over the last decade, there have been 5 instances in the championship game where the line moved toward the dog. So maybe it's the dog +7 down to +6.5, +3 down to +2.5. In this case, you have a full point move, which would be 9.5 down to 8.5. This system only requires a half-point line move. So as long as the line moves in your direction toward the dog, those teams are 4-1 against the spread since 2015. So add it all up here, guys. 50-50, no contrarian, but the line went to Notre Dame. Correlative betting, dog low total, rest advantage, good system match. I like Marcus Freeman, hopefully, to devise a game plan here where maybe they don't win the game, but can you keep it close? Can you lose by 8 or less? I'm taking the Irish in the points. And I would mention our friends at Rhythm. They have basically right on the number, 8.4. So not much of an edge there. Now, in terms of the total, if you like the under, I really can't argue with you. It opened as high as 46.5. It's down to 45.5. You're even seeing some books now get down to 45. So it's been pretty consistent one-way move downward. Bet splits look pretty good on the under at DraftKings. 31% bets, 49% dollars on the under. And at Circa, 38% bets, 54% dollars on the under. So both books, the big public book DraftKings and the sharp book in Vegas Circa, both have a good split there. Sharp contrarian toward the under. And then, mentioned a second ago, but two great defenses. Ohio State, number 1 in the country, only giving up 12.2 points per game. Notre Dame, second in the country, only giving up 14.3 points per game. So, two good defenses. Public's on the over, yet the total fell. If you can still find a hook under 45.5, I'm not going to argue there. That's my lean. But I'm going to take the Irish in the points. I've played them quite a bit here when it comes to these playoff games. And, hey, you're giving me a not a contrarian dog, but a 50-50 dog line move with some extra rest and correlative betting. Also, again, Freeman, can you? He's been pretty innovative, pretty impressive. Can you work your magic here and keep this thing close? That is my goal. So I'm going Irish. Let's do it for Rudy. Play like a champion. I got Notre Dame plus 8.5. Now over to some college basketball. Got some college hoops for you guys as well as some NHL. I want to focus on a kind of early evening game. This is Georgetown and Villanova. So this is a 6 o'clock game here tonight on Fox Sports 1. And if we look at the side, we've seen the line go toward Villanova. They're opening as low as -7. Now they're up to around -8.5. But I'm going to focus on this total here because one thing jumped out to me. The fact that this total has really fallen quite a bit. And now I'm thinking, has it fallen so much that it creates an opportunity to buy low and go over? That's my goal. So this Nova Georgetown total, it opened as high as 137.5. It is now down to 135.5, and some shops, including FanDuel, down to 134.5. And this is, again, always the importance of shopping for the best line, having multiple outs, because most of the market's 135.5. I was able to buy low and go over 134.5 at FanDuel. Now, this is what I wouldn't call a sharp play, but I would call a buy low value play, because if we look at Rhythm, they're predicting a final score or final total of 136. Nothing crazy. 135.5, 134.5 in the market. 136 would technically win just by the skin of your teeth. But what I do like quite a bit is that KenPom as a predicted final total of 141. So if you're able to get that over 134.5 at FanDuel, I mean, you're looking at 6.5 points of a pretty good edge there toward a higher scoring game. I like both these teams in terms of their offense. Georgetown's averaging 73 points a game, Nova averaging 78 points a game. Their effective field goal percentages are pretty impressive. Georgetown is 52%. Nova is 57%. Nova, I remember with the Jay Wright days, it would be like great defense. They're kind of opposite now. Their defensive efficiency is 178 in the country, but they're number 9 overall. 9th best offensive efficiency. Both teams can shoot the three, 32% from Georgetown and 40% for Nova. And hopefully they can hit their free throws. Georgetown 72% from the line, Nova 80% from the line. And again, both these teams are rested and ready to go. They last played on Friday night, so they've had the full weekend off. So have to fully admit, when this thing first opened 137.5, you had some respect when he hit that under. But now that it's fallen all the way to 134.5 at FanDuel, again, providing a buy low opportunity. Let's just say this thing lands 135, 136, even 137. Those early under 137.5 bettors win. You play the the under 135.5, 134.5. You lose that bet. So I'm going to buy low. I'm going to root for points. Give me Nova Georgetown over 134.5. Very important. That's at FanDuel. So shop around. Make sure you get those multiple outs. Last bet of the night before we have some initial thoughts here that I'm excited to share about the conference championship games. Let's talk about a matchup here tonight, 9:30 p.m. on the ice. The Winnipeg Jets visiting the Utah Hockey Club. You ask me, they got to change to the Yeti. Utah Yeti. It makes too much sense. But I get it. You just moved. Hey, I'll wait till next year. Anyway, the Jets come in playing fantastic. 31-13-3. That might be the best or one of the best, I know for sure, records in the NHL. Utah, 500, 19-19-7. Now, if you look at the Jets, they just had a 3-game win streak snap. They lost to the Calgary Flames 3-1. Kind of the opposite. The Hockey Club had lost 3 in a row, and they just beat St. Louis 4-2. What have we seen across the market here? Extreme one-sided steam in favor of the Jets. This game opened Winnipeg, listed as low as a -135, -140 road favorite. We've now seen the Jets get all the way up to -175. Some shops even higher, -185. So, right off the bat, big steam on Winnipeg. Great bet splits at Circa. Again, when it comes to hockey, I'm not a huge bet splits guy just because I want to be with the sharp money, but bet splits in hockey, there's really no contrarian value. It's just not heavily bet enough of a game or a sport in general. But I did notice 76% of bets, but over 90% of money is on Winnipeg. So the sharps out in Vegas, walking up to the book at Circa, they're laying the chalk here with Winnipeg, and that's what I'm doing. Give me the Jets here, guys. I really like the advantage in net. Connor Hellebuck has been great. Knock on wood. Hope he plays well tonight. 1.97 goals against, 929 save percentage. He's been even better in 6 January starts, 1.83 goals against. And he'll be facing the backup goaltender for Utah. That's why you saw this huge move here. Hellebuck, until he was announced, you saw it. Obviously the great goalie Winnipeg in, and then Utah, not Vermilka, who's been good, but Connor Ingram expected to be in net. He's got a 3.38 goals against average, only an 879 save percentage. Home road splits favor Winnipeg, 13-8 on the road. Utah just 7-11-4 at home. Offensively, Winnipeg averaging 3.5 goals a game versus 2.8 for Utah, and better defensively, averaging or allowing 2.4 goals per game versus 3 for the Utah Hockey Club. Power play, really you've seen a great power play from Winnipeg this year, 32% versus 21% for Utah. And then the cherry on top, I have a lot of system matches here on Winnipeg. One is one of our favorite system matches of all time. Road favorite off a loss, opponent versus an opponent off a win. That's 35-23 this year, 60%. Since the start of last year, it's 65%. 9% ROI. Also have another system, sweet spot, road favorite with steam. If you are a road favorite, 10 cents a steam or more, you're between, I think it's -150 and -200. You're 44-25, 64%. And a road favorite with steam playing an opponent who missed the playoffs the previous year. That's 51-30 this year, 63% with a 4% ROI. So a lot of shops right now are at -185, but as always, try to stress on the pod the importance of having multiple outs, getting the best price. Currently, the Jets are only -175 at ESPN Bet. So I played the Jets to win the damn game, -175. So Jets to win, Nova, Georgetown over 134.5, and the Irish +8.5. Now, want to mention a few things about the AFC and NFC championship games because obviously Sunday's going to be a great day with the doubleheader. I'm going to miss the Saturday doubleheaders as well. But some early thoughts on these games. Let's start off with the early one, Washington and Philadelphia. Now, we've seen a move toward Philly early. Philly opened this game as low as -4.5, -5 at home. Now Philly's up to -5.5, and they're juiced up like they may even be going to 6. Now, the splits look pretty good on Philly. Nothing crazy, but 48% of bets, 61% money on Philly at DraftKings at Circa, 46% bets, 68% dollars. But as always, favorites early, dogs late. Like this looks very similar to the Rams-Philly game where, again, you could have gotten Philly -5.5, then up closing -7. The people who got Philly early cover that number because they won by 6. If you laid it late, you lost. So what I'm looking at here is, because the line's already moved toward Philly quite a bit, we're very close to the key number of 6. Guys, I'm looking at right now holding out for the Commanders +6. Jaden Daniels has been fantastic, obviously. This is also a rare divisional game. So Philly-Washington, the third time they've matched up this year. Washington won one of them. Philly won the other. But now your third time around, so a lot of familiarity. Should hopefully level the playing field, benefit the team getting points. Playoff dogs who missed the playoffs the previous year. Jaden Daniels has covered in the spot both times this postseason. And those teams overall are 41-21, 66% ATS. 28% ROI since 2017. So I'm looking toward waiting on the 6 for Washington. And we'll see if there's any buyback and it comes back down. But this is going to be, again, favorites early, dogs late. I'm holding out for Washington right now at +6. The big one, though, Buffalo, Kansas City. This one should be absolutely fantastic. And it's a very, very short number, but it is moving toward the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, a couple things going on here. One, Kansas City opened this game very short 1 or 1.5 point home favorite. You've seen now the entire market go to 1.5, and even some shops now going to -2 for Kansas City. So, early move here, obviously toward the Chiefs, and I'm wondering if this is going to be a fade the trendy dog in terms of playing Kansas City. Right, my lean right now is Kansas City money line. I'll give you a lot of angles here to consider, but one is the fact that right now Buffalo is getting 65% of spread bets at DraftKings. So public is thinking, hey, take the points with the Bills. Circa, though, really good splits here on Kansas City, 57% bets, 79% dollars, 47% bets, 62% dollars on the money line. Now, one thing we have seen when it comes to these home favorites, they're covering 53% of the time over the last 20 years. They're 19 and 17 ATS. But if you're a home fave with a line move in your favor, which would also match with Philly, those teams are 10 and 6 ATS, 63% since 2004. But here's what I like about Kansas City in terms of the chalk, just playing the money line straight up. If you look at these conference championship games, over the last 20 years, favorites are 29 and 13 straight up, 69%. Home favorites are 26 and 10 straight up, 72%. So, Philly, they're too high to money line in my opinion. They're like -265, -270. But again, if you want to tease down Philly, that would match. Just win the game. But the Chiefs would match that home favorite. They also have a one-day rest advantage. I forgot to mention the Commanders also have a one-day rest advantage. Or maybe I did. I forgot. But Chiefs played on Saturday, and that was the early game, versus Buffalo, who played on Sunday, the late game. I'm also going to put some stock into kind of rest first tired. Kansas City sat their starters week 18, then they had the bye week. So, you look at Travis Kelce, Mahomes, they're fresh as lettuce. Buffalo, played throughout the season, played week 18, and they also just played 2 playoff games, a tough one against the Ravens. So maybe there's a little more juice for Kansas City in this spot. Now, the granddaddy of them all, Patrick Mahomes, winning straight up at home. Mahomes at home in his career, 54 and 12 straight up, 82%. 43 and 10 straight up in the regular season, 11 and 2 straight up in the postseason. So, I don't really think there's a huge reason to money line the Chiefs right now. Let's wait it out. I want to make sure that this line doesn't creep back down toward a pick, which would be a very good sign for Buffalo. But as right now, we got low bets, higher dollars, bit of a fade the trendy dog. Great angles here, Mahomes and favorites at home in the division in the championship round. I'm looking toward the Chiefs money line at this point. I will mention too, the under looks pretty decent. Open 48.5. It's down to 47.5. You can still find 48. Really good bet splits to the under. 37% bets, 66% money at DraftKings. Circa 75% bets, 97% money. And one angle that has been really good this year, especially in outdoor games. But if there's a big split, like overall, dogs have been great. This postseason, which I was hoping for after a really bad dog year regular season. But playoff dogs now 7-3 against the spread this postseason. And you look at the unders, 6-4. But big difference between games in a dome and games outside. Outdoor playoff unders are 6-2. Those only 2 losses were dome games, which was the Texans game and the Commanders game. So those outdoor unders, 75% this postseason, 6-2. They're 57% since 2017, and high total, 47 or more. Take the under, 62% since 2017. Now, obviously, we saw weather play a big role when I was freaking out because Stafford and Kyron Williams and all those Rams guys were dropping the ball, fumbling it in the snow. But as right now, I'm not seeing much in the way of snow. Like the early forecast for the Eagles game is actually not bad, like 35 degrees, 7-mile-per-hour winds. Kansas City, 25 degrees, 6-mile-per-hour winds. So we'll see. Weather can obviously change. But as right now, I'm leaning Kansas City money line and Washington holding out for a +6. So that about does it for episode 201 of the All Systems Go Sports Betting Podcast powered by Rhythm. This is the part of the pod where we wrap things up, and I first start by saying thank you. Thank you for taking the time out of your day, out of your busy lives, to pull up a chair to the virtual bar and sweat some sharp betting breakdowns with me. It means a lot that we've kind of built this community, win, lose, or draw. This is a lifestyle, data-driven contrarian betting. You're not going to become a millionaire overnight. There's going to be ups and downs. Sports betting's hard. but the data-driven style provides a blueprint for you to hopefully kind of change from a bettor to an investor. What do you think of that? But also, after I thank you, now I'm going to ask you a favor. Could you please give this podcast a 5-star review? If you're listening on Spotify or iTunes, click rate and review, click 5 stars. It'll mean a ton to me. Help us to continue to grow the pod. If you want to click the follow button or recommend it to a friend, that would also be amazing. Next, if you enjoy this style of betting breakdown, or you enjoy the pod, you want to learn more about data-driven betting, or maybe there's someone in your life, your friend, your colleague, your family member, coworker, maybe they like to bet on sports, or they're in a newly legalized state, they're looking to get into sports betting, but have no freaking clue how it works. You know what you should do? You should buy my book. Just go to Amazon.com, type in the Everything Guide to Sports Betting, pick up a copy for you or for a friend. It's got everything I've learned in the industry, guys, how lines are set, how and why they move, how to read line movement, how to locate sharp action, how to place a bet in person or online, how to shop for the best line, how to set up a bankroll management plan, how to go contrarian, all included in the Everything Guide to Sports Betting. So buy a copy, bring it to the book, I'll sign it for you, and I'll buy you a beer or a ginger ale. Next, have you taken advantage of a 7-day free trial of Juice Reel or Rhythm yet? My 2 favorite sports betting apps on the market. Rhythm, obviously, great for their AI-backed models and predictions for game bets and player props. Rhythm, where you can find all of the All Systems Go best bet picks from the social tab for $4.99 a week. Again, I would like to think my insights are worthy of $1 a day per week. But anyway, and actually it's including weekend plays, so I guess it's less than that. But anyway, you also get the Robo Jackson best bet picks, sharp mush indicators, arbitrage opportunities, shop for the best line, all included and very easily accessible through the Juice Reel app. So wherever you get your apps, the App Store, iTunes, whatever it's called, Google Play, Google Store. I'm not an Android guy, I'm an iPhone guy. But go download Rhythm, go download Juice Reel, then you'll be able to add those tools to your data-driven toolkit and hopefully make smarter bets. So that about does it for today's pod on a big Monday, getting back into the swing of things. As always, I'm going to leave you with a couple things. One, whether I see you at the Borgata in Atlantic City, Twin River in Rhode Island, the Brook in New Hampshire, Foxwoods or Mohegan Sun down in Connecticut, at the Encore in Boston or Plainridge Park Casino, or MGM Springfield in my neck of the woods in Massachusetts, or out in the desert where the true grinders get down, where Billy Walters sends his number runners, where the lowest juice possible is found at the South Point, or sweating sharp contrarian plays, jumping in the stadium swim pool when you cash a big ticket at Circa. Wherever it may be, you're going to walk up to me, and you're going to show me a Commanders plus 9.5, a Rams plus 6.5, a Texans plus 9.5. No Ravens, and no John Mahal Hill. Come on, Hill. That was a letdown. But anyway, glad to see dogs bark this weekend, guys. First one's on me, next one's on you. We're going to post about the book, Sweat Sharp Contrarian Plays, all night long. So wish you the best of luck, everyone. Always remember, hot, cold, winning, losing, grinding, whatever the case may be, stick to the model, stick to the blueprint, data-driven contrarian betting. If we can put ourselves in that sweet spot, identify the games that fit our model, bypass the ones that don't, against the public, with the house, with the pros, flat bet, avoid parlays, get that closing line value. If we can do that, we're going to be successful sports bettors. So have a great Monday, everyone. And what do you say? Let's cover this one. Let's cover for Rudy. Let's go Irish, baby. Have a great Monday night, everybody, and I'll see you tomorrow on a big Tuesday for episode 202 of the All Systems Go Sports Betting Podcast, powered by Rhythm. Good luck, everybody, and have a great night.